Hello everyone, and welcome to the CAC Library tutorial video called Evaluating Online Resources. My name is Bonnie Simmons. I'm a librarian here at Central Arizona College, and today I wanted to talk to you about how you find information online and how you decide if what you found is actually worthwhile or not. And as a nice little bonus, because I'm a librarian, I'll tell you why research at the library is really helpful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So when you find stuff that is online, sometimes you'll find good quality information, but some of the stuff that's out there is just junk. It's not good, reliable information. When you read published material like a book or a magazine, there's an editor who goes through, who cleans it up, makes sure that the grammar, the spelling are correct, and they do some fact checking. When you look at stuff online, anybody can put any information online, whether it's true or not. There's no one out there doing double checking. So when you find online information, you're the one responsible for deciding if you like it or not. You have to use your critical thinking skills. Don't believe everything you read, okay? So how do you know when you actually have something that's good information, that's worthwhile? What you're looking for is information that is credible, objective, and accurate. So let me break that down a little bit for you. So credible means that the information is good, reliable, correct information coming from a valid source, okay? So that's the first sort of criteria. Objective means that you're not getting just one side of the story. You're actually seeing the whole picture and not just hearing what one particular person or company wants you to believe. You're getting a reliable overview. Accuracy or accurate means that you're getting things that are correct in the details and that's timely, that's current. So when you find that mix of those sorts of qualities, you've got good information, okay? And this is really, really important if you're researching for a class project or if you're doing some research at work to help out your boss. Really critical that you find these things, but it's a good habit to be in just for your everyday Google searches for your own information. You want timely stuff. You want it to be reliable and balanced. So keep that in mind when you're researching. As an example, we are going to use a website, dhmo.org, and you may or may not have had a chance to look at this already, but this is a website, let me pop this open, okay, dedicated to dihydrogen monoxide. Dun dun dun, it sounds really exciting, doesn't it? This is the website for the dihydrogen monoxide research division, and we find out that it's pretty controversial, and we start seeing over here that DHMO shows up in a lot of stuff. We might be starting to feel a little bit nervous, okay? So let's go to the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, to find out a little bit more about dihydrogen monoxide, okay? It is a colorless and odorless chemical compound, so it's hard to find, okay? It's highly reactive hydroxyl radical, a species shown to mutate DNA, denature proteins, disrupt membranes, and chemically alter critical neurotransmitters. This sounds kind of dangerous, okay? As we scroll further, you see, should I be concerned? Yes, you should be concerned about it. We find out about researchers. Why haven't we heard about this before? I'm going to keep scrolling down here and read you some of the dangers associated with DHMO. Every year, dihydrogen monoxide is a known causative component in many thousands of deaths. Death due to accidental inhalation of DHMO, even in small quantities. Prolonged exposure to solid DHMO causes severe tissue damage. DHMO is a major component of acid rain. The gaseous form can cause severe burns. Soil erosion, corrosion, short circuits, decreases the effectiveness of automobile brakes, found in biopsies given to vicious dogs. This sounds like a really dangerous, messy thing, okay? So this webpage is going to tell us the dangers of dihydrogen monoxide. This is what we're going to use as our example, and we'll decide using our tools if this is a website that we trust or not, okay? So let's find out a little bit more about the tools we're going to use to look at the website, okay? You probably remember these from school, the 5 W's, okay? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. So when you're looking at a web page or online information, ask yourself who, what, when, where, why, and how, and this will give you a good idea about whether that information is trustworthy or not. So we are going to start off with the first of the 5 W's, who. Who's the author, the creator, the sponsor of the web page or the website? Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's a company, sometimes it's a group. So you want to find out who's responsible for that information. You want to see authors who are reputable and knowledgeable, so people that actually have some wisdom to impart to you, especially if you're doing your college research, okay? If you are just looking for information, trying to figure out what movie to go see on the weekend, you don't really need to have an author who's reputable or knowledgeable. You can look up, and if somebody says it was really cool, I like the graphics were awesome, or there were a lot of cool explosions, that's fine. But when you're doing college level research, you would much rather learn about films from like a film critic from a major newspaper. They have a good reputation and they're knowledgeable. They can give you that detailed information and analyze what it's all about, okay? You can also find out a little bit more about who's responsible by looking at the URL, the web address, to find out more information. Okay, if you see .gov, it's a government website, federal government or state government, so that should be good, reliable information. Okay, there's also .edu. We know that one from centralaz.edu. Okay, educational institutions, so colleges and universities. Again, good, reliable information. Okay, most of the websites that we see are .com. .com stands for commercial. And what that means is somewhere along the line there's money that's changing hands. Okay, it's a commercial transaction. So sometimes they're trying to sell you a product that they're putting out there and making available online. Other times, like Google.com makes money by selling advertising space on their web pages. So when you get a list of Google results, some of them are ads. That's how they make their money. It doesn't make it a bad website, but be aware that there's some kind of financial transaction going on when you see .com. Also, for more information about the author or the creator of web pages, sometimes web pages have about us or contact us, and if you find a person's name or a company's name, that can give you some information. You can even go and Google that author to find out what you think and find out, are they reputable, are they knowledgeable and reliable? Okay, so that covers who. Our next question is what? What is the purpose of the website? So somebody sat down and typed in all this information and created this website. What was the reason for that? Okay. Sometimes the author's trying to persuade you to a particular point of view. Sometimes they're trying to sell something. Sometimes they're just giving you general information. .gov and .edu websites a lot of times will just let you have the information and let you make your own decisions. Okay. Sometimes they're just there to entertain you. Okay. And there's a special kind of entertaining websites that I do want to mention right here. Be aware of the satire websites. Okay, so satire is, a lot of times it kind of pokes fun at things that we're not always paying super close attention to. It's meant to be funny, but sometimes it can sound pretty serious. So I am showing you a satire website called theonion.com. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Pretty funny. So these are all fake news stories. It says America's finest news source, but these are actually fake newspaper stories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here into science and technology. Sometimes you can tell right away that it's completely fake. So CERN researchers apologize for the destruction of 5 parallel universes in recent experiments. Oops, not really true. We did not destroy alternate universes. Not a real thing. Okay, CERN is real. This news story isn't. NASA launches its first cordless satellite. Again, a fake news story. Okay, but here's something: the pros and cons of artificial intelligence. If you're not familiar with The Onion, that headline doesn't give it away that this is a fake news story. So people have been known to actually use these satire websites, these joke websites, as reliable sources of research information. So be aware that these are out here and they can occasionally be deceptive. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do next is actually look at our website and use who and what to find out about, pardon me, I'm going to scroll up here, about dhmo.org and try to figure out if this is a website that we trust. Okay, so we want to find out who is responsible for the information on this page. Okay, so one of the easiest things to do is to scroll down to the bottom and see if there's any contact information. Okay, we have a URL that ends in .org. Okay, that doesn't give us a whole lot of clues yet, but we see that the information says copyright by Tom Way. So we can actually go into Google and put in Tom Way, and because multiple people might have that name, I'm also adding DHMO. When we do a search, we find Tom Way's bio, Villanova Computer Science, Villanova University. And we're going to stop here for just a second. So Tom Way is from a college and he's got some expertise, but I figure that he probably knows a lot about chemistry. That's what I would expect. But he's actually a computer sciences guy, which seems a little suspect to me. Okay, if we read a little bit further, it says he runs a successful science satire website. Okay, so who's responsible for the web page? It's actually a guy who specializes in computer science, okay? What's the purpose of the website? I think this is giving us some clues here, okay? But let's keep researching and see what we find. Let's see if we can learn a little bit more, okay? So we've asked who, what. The next question is when. When was the website created? When was it updated? What you want to see is information that's current and up to date. So if you've been doing research already, you'll know if there have been big changes in your topic recently. So that can give you a really good clue, okay? There are some web pages that also give you a last modified date, okay? In this particular example, I went to wikipedia.org, which is not always the best source for research. I'll show you why about that a little bit later. But they are really good at telling you the last time that a page was modified, okay? So I actually found this on April 24th. It says the page was last modified on February 9th. So this gives us a really good sense of when the website was last updated. It's a little bit older, but it's still fairly current. And if nothing major has changed in Central Arizona College in the last few months, this is probably still a good website to use. But just keep in mind, ask when and find out when that information is from. You also want to ask, where is the information from? When you write your research papers, you're going to include some citations where you're pulling information from experts and you're kind of saying, this is where my information came from. This is where these stats are from. You want to see that kind of thing on a web page too. You want to see links that take you to other information or citations, okay? If you have citations for statistics and quotes, it can actually be a really good idea sometimes to track down those citations and do a little extra work, because remember, especially when it comes to things that are political, it's very easy for things to be taken out of context. Where a politician made like a 20-minute speech and maybe somebody pulls out one sentence and it says something that that speech didn't really intend. So if you go back and do that reviewing, you'll actually understand the statistics and the quotes a lot better, okay? Also, when you're looking at where the information is from, you can use those citations or reference lists to find additional resources. So if you're struggling to find really good articles about your topic or really good sources of information, if you have one good reliable article and it has citations or outside links, you can use those to jump to other good sources that will probably be reliable and probably be about the same sort of topic, okay? So we've gone over when and where. Our next step is to go back to dhmo.org, okay, and find out when is the information from and where is it from, okay? So let's go ahead and click here into the frequently asked questions, because I did see something about, research conducted by award-winning U.S. scientist Nathan Zahner concluded roughly 86% of the population supports a ban. So here we have where they're getting some of their information from. Let's look up Nathan Zahner and see what we find. Alright, so we're doing a little bit of research about our researcher Nathan Zahner. Okay, and what are we finding here? Dihydrogen monoxide hoax, dangers of dihydrogen monoxide. Okay, so Nathan Zahner actually did some research. Okay, last spring, Nathan Zahner, an enterprising 14-year-old student at Eagle Rock Junior High School, conducted his science experiment. Interesting. So where's the information coming from? From a junior high school science experiment. Okay, and let's also look at when is this information from? Okay, so let's go back for just a moment. All right, so we are going to find out when this information is from. Okay, so we're going to explore many of our special reports. Click alerts and advisories about DHMO. Okay, here we have alerts. Alerts are warnings of an urgent nature. When are these urgent messages from? February 28th, 2000, March 15th, 2000, March 30th, 2000. Okay, when is this information from? Like 15 or 20 years ago. So this is not really good current information. Okay, we have another red flag that tells us maybe we don't want to take this website too seriously. So 2 more questions we're going to ask, 2 more tools. Why? Why would I use this website rather than something else? Okay, so this is what's good about this particular website. Okay, is there some new information that I find here that I don't see somewhere else? That would be a good reason to use that website and include it in your research. Okay, you also want to make sure that the website is written at an appropriate level, especially if you're doing college level research. Make sure you've got a college level website. If you don't have that, keep looking around, okay? Just because a page has the search terms that you look for doesn't make it a good resource. If it helps you answer your research question, that's a great reason why you should go ahead and use that. Otherwise, you can keep looking around. There's going to be better information. Last question is how? How is the website built? Okay, when you look at it and analyze it, is it well thought out and organized, or is it just sort of haphazardly thrown together? Okay, if you see spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes, remember I said earlier that published things have an editor. Okay, if you see a lot of spelling and grammar mistakes, it means that there's probably one person who's written this and they may not have had anybody double check it. So that's kind of a red flag. Okay. And also, do the links that are on the page actually work and take you to a good website? If you find dead links that don't go anywhere, it means that whoever wrote the page hasn't come back to check on it. So it's probably not a great one to use. Okay. You also want to look for ads or requests for money. That can be an indication that, again, it may not be the most reliable source. They might be trying to sell you something or trying to persuade you to a particular point of view, persuade you to donate money. But do remember that just because a website doesn't look good, don't totally rule it out. There can be some really great websites that just look a little bit old in the way that they're set up. All right, so now we're going to practice our why and how with dhmo.org, okay? So we'll get to the why would I use it here in just a minute, but let's talk about how this is built. So when we look at this, it's obviously looks a little bit older. We can see up here that you can actually, there's a Visa, PayPal, MasterCard here, so they are asking for money, okay? And I also want to show you, okay, I'm going to go to DHMO and Cancer because I checked this out before. Okay, so when we start looking at some of these links, remember if there are links that don't go anywhere, it's kind of a red flag. So I'm going to try opening Healthopedia. This doesn't look like Healthopedia. Okay. When I look at Cancer Help, 404 not found, site for sale. What this tells me is these are not links that are being kept up. So we may not see grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes, but we do see some dead links, and that means it's probably not a great resource. Okay. So in the end, why would I use this site or why would I not use this site? Here's the trick. Okay. Dihydrogen monoxide. Di means 2, mono means 1. You get 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen, which is H2O. This is just a website about water. So remember how they said that like inhaling DHMO can cause death? Yeah. Don't inhale water. That's what that's about. Okay. So when they talk about vicious dogs have gotten water, yeah, they have. See, that's the trick of this one. Okay. So this website is all about satire. It's about the dangers of water, and it's kind of poking fun to make us think. We get really scared about hearing about chemicals that sound dangerous, but really you have to do some digging and some analyzing to decide if you like it. Okay. So thanks for sticking with me through the DHMO. So let's go back and review for just a minute. Okay. The most important question that you want to remember, what's the reason for the website's existence? When you understand this, you'll know whether you can trust that website or not. Is it for scholarly purposes, just to give you information to let you make up your own mind? Are the owners trying to sell you something? Do they want to persuade you to donate money or to see their particular point of view? Once you know why people made that effort, you can understand whether you trust it or not. Okay, a couple of other quick items here. If you found some information and it seems trustworthy, okay, how do you decide whether you want to use it or not? If you've got a web page that supports your primary statements, that's a good resource, okay? If it gives you an alternate point of view that you can use in your college research, that's great, go for it, use it as a resource. If it answers your question or part of it, it's a good resource and you can go ahead and use it, okay? If it's close but not quite what you're looking for, okay, use citations from a really good article to find something similar. And remember, this was great advice the first time that I heard it. If you're doing a Google search, you go through 2 pages of links, you don't find what you're looking for, don't bother going to page 3 or 4 or 5, because you're not going to find exactly what you're looking for. Once you get through that first 2 pages, if you don't find good resources, change the terms. Think about other ways to ask your question and try plugging in different words to see if you can get better results. So we mentioned before that Wikipedia is not always a great resource for doing your research. So blogs in Wikipedia, I have a lot of reservations about because you don't really know who provides the content. Also in Wikipedia, the way that Wikipedia works is anybody can go in and make edits, and you don't know whether the person who's adding the information, you hope that it's somebody who's knowledgeable about the topic, but sometimes you get people with odd opinions throwing in their information, and sometimes you just get people who are bored and decide that they want to get into some mischief. So let me show you. Okay, this is a Wikipedia page about jelly bean. This is the current one for today. That actually shows you the history, like how they came about. We all know about jelly beans, right? Okay. Well, what can happen in Wikipedia is sometimes people get bored. So here we have the history of the jelly bean. Okay, the Turkish delight jelly beans come lion. Beware of the jelly bean from magical cows and unicorns. Beware of the jelly bean. I'm gonna say random things now. Cat box. Wow, Mickey Mouse is awesome. Bird is the word. Oh yeah, holla. And you can see that this was actually the web page on April 18th of 2012. Okay. The crazy thing is that usually it's not this obvious when somebody has gone in and made changes to Wikipedia and they've put things in there that are incorrect. Sometimes it's really hard to decipher whether it's right or not. Okay. You also don't want to, use the web page when it's looking really nice. There's a really good Wikipedia entry, and then at the time that you turn in your paper, all of a sudden this becomes the web page, so your professor goes to check your works cited page and comes across this crazy stuff. So that's why when professors ask you not to use Wikipedia for a resource, this is the reason why, because things can get hacked. It's hard to keep the information accurate, so it's better just to use other resources. Okay. For better research, you can use the advanced search in Google and limit to .gov or .edu websites. You can also use .org, that stands for organizations. So some of those have a particular bias, a particular story to tell, but a lot of times the research they provide is of good quality research. You just need to find something to balance it. So let me take just a moment and show you guys how to do an advanced search in Google. So let me just put in here. Okay, it's a little bit different depending on which browser you're using. I am currently using Firefox. Okay, so what I do here is I put in what it is that I'm looking for. So herbal remedies. There's a lot of really good scientific information out there, but there are also a lot of people that are just trying to sell you really crummy herbs and make a good profit. So we're going to get a mix here. When I just put in herbal remedies in general, here we have a .gov, here we have .com, .edu, .com. So you can see it's a really huge mix, and it's hard to know what's going to be reliable and what's not. Okay, so in this case it's under settings. Okay, so herbal remedies, we're going to do the search and then go to settings and go to advanced search. In some cases, there's a small gear up here that lets you get to the settings. It varies from browser to browser, so you may have to poke around to find it. So here we're doing our search for herbal remedies, but when we scroll down, we have a space here for site or domain, and here's where you can specify, you know what, I just want college level research about what herbal remedies are good, so I'm going to limit it to just edu sites. Okay. What'll happen is now it'll pull up that big giant list, but kick out everything that's a .com, .gov, and leave you only with .edu. Okay, so here we can see this entry is herbal medicine from University of Maryland Medical Center, herbal medicine from University of New Hampshire, botanical medicine from UMN. So these are all going to be reliable .edu websites where there are professors that spend their lives studying this kind of information. So here they want to share that information with you and tell you about what's worthwhile and what's good, reliable information. So by using the advanced search and limiting to .edu, you're going to get information that's good, reliable sources that you would be able to use for a college level paper if your professor says that you can use websites for your research. Okay. If you need statistics or information like that, there's also a website, www.usa.gov, that goes through federal and state government agencies, even city government agencies. So if you're ever looking for reliable statistics about how often something happens, usa.gov is really good for that. Okay, Okay, so here comes the promotion for the library. The better resources to use are ones from the library so that you don't have to spend as much time wondering who, what, when, where, why, and how. You know that you're going to be getting good information. So at the CAC library, we have journal articles that come from databases. Journal articles are much shorter than books. They're very specific, so if you have a very narrow topic that you're looking for, you can usually find some journal articles that'll help you with your research. And they're also really current because journals are published on a regular basis, so you're likely to find very new, current, relevant information. We also have ebooks in our databases. Those are online versions of books that have been printed. One of our ebook databases, Gale Virtual Reference Library, is great for giving you a lot of different points of view about different topics, so it's easy to search for information from lots of different fields of study. Of course, the library also has books. Those are longer works. They tend to be pretty scholarly. There's a lot of good detail, so you can really dig deep into a particular topic if you're trying to research. You'll use your CAC ID card to check out materials from the library. You can look for them in the library catalog. The books check out for 3 weeks, okay? And we also have DVDs and streaming videos. So this is really good, relevant information. It's all trustworthy because the streaming videos and the DVDs, they're coming from good resources. They contain good information, and it's just in a different format if you prefer not to have to read from a book or a journal article. But our streaming videos have really wonderful little transcripts, so you can actually take out quotes really easily. But those are also available from the library. And again, the library resources are great because they are edited. So somebody has gone through to look at the information to make sure that it's correct and accurate. It's all double checked. Okay. Now there are two different kinds of sources. This is especially important to think about when you are looking at journal articles. Okay. So there are popular sources that are written for the average reader. Okay. So things like from a newspaper, that would be a good example of a popular resource. Okay. It's going to be a short article with not a lot of detail. The writers are really good at writing, but they may not know a lot about the topic that they're writing about. Okay. For some papers, it's a good source of information. They should be pretty good and reliable. But kind of the gold standard are the scholarly sources. They're sometimes called academic sources or peer-reviewed sources. Okay, those are written for experts by experts. Okay, when you read those, it's a good idea to have some background in the field. It assumes that you know the lingo, so they may not stop to explain all of the terms that are used because they're assuming that the audience already knows all that information. These are going to be very detailed, lots of original research, and they tend to be a lot longer articles than the popular source articles. Okay, but they are edited by people who know the field, so if there's any kind of a mistake that's made, the peers, same people that are experts in that field, are going to be able to spot if there are any mistakes or oversights by the author. Okay, and those scholarly resources are great to use in any kind of a paper. Your professor will be thrilled if you're using the scholarly academic sources to pull your information from. Okay, if you have found a website and you're not sure about whether it's reliable or trustworthy or if it's good for a paper, stop by and ask at the library. We can help you out. Okay, if you're having trouble finding any kind of research or just any sort of general questions, whether it's related to school research or not, stop by the library, get a hold of us. You can contact us by phone. We're available through Blackboard Instant Messenger chat. You can send an email or just drop in. We're more than happy to help you. Okay, here's your closing thought. Don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it. We know Abraham Lincoln totally said that. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. Again, if you have any questions, here's information about how to get a hold of the library. You can give us a call at any of the locations. Just ask to speak to a librarian. We have a general email address, library@centralaz.edu. Or for specific questions about this presentation, you can email me at bonnie.simmons@centralaz.edu. Thank you so much.